Okay, good morning. I'm going to walk you through ZOHO Meeting. We did this briefly on the Thursday call, but I wanted to go through it and show you how to utilize this. I think it would be beneficial to do a FaceTime type meeting with your clients if you're able to. Sometimes things get lost in translation over the phone, and this allows you to do screen sharings so you can show them pictures of a vehicle. Rather than having to send emails and them open up pictures, you could do a live presentation to a particular client no matter where you are. So this will help tremendously. There's no additional cost for us to do this. You can set up a live meeting, like let's say I'm talking to somebody on the phone and I say, let's do something right now, or you can schedule a meeting for a future date where you can sit down and do a quote unquote webinar type meeting or a phone call slash FaceTime type meeting with your clients. So you'll go to this link right here, meeting at zoho.com. And what I would do is, as you can see across the top of my browser, I have all of these things saved. So I have Zoho CRM, Zoho Projects. I have all of the different Zoho components right there, so I can bounce between them. And during the business day, I just leave up my CRM so I can bounce back and forth between that and other applications that I'm using, just to keep things going so I don't have to open and close things throughout the day. So anyway, if you have stuff scheduled as far as webinars and meetings and you record any of them, you'll be able to view them in here. Currently, there's nothing in them because it's brand new. However, a webinar is going to be more geared towards what we did the other day on Thursday, where you're doing a full-blown presentation with a large group of people, and you can set it up as a formal thing. So that would be where you would do a webinar. If you did want to set one up, of course, you would just name it whatever you want to name that webinar. A brief description. You'll set up the date and time, the total duration, what time zone it's in, which would be important, obviously. If you're on the East Coast and you're dealing with people that are in the Central or West Coast, you want to make sure they know what the right time zone is, so please pay attention to that. And then the total duration, and then you would hit schedule. It's very simple to set these up. It's no different than scheduling a meeting or something like you normally would in Outlook, as we did setting up our tasks and our follow-up phone calls, etc. in the Zoho CRM. So this is how you set up your webinar. And then you can go back to the home screen, or we can set up a meeting. So more than likely, most of you are going to set up meetings individually. So let's say you want to have a meeting with a potential client, and we're talking to that customer, Linda Johnson, again. So we're going to set up a Linda Johnson conversation. I'm the presenter. What the agenda is, show various Dodge Caravan upfit options. So we can discuss that, let's say, giving her different options, showing her some pictures of existing ones that were made. You can show the various types of Q strengths, so you can show them, which different Q strengths and what they look like and how they operate. Of course, you'd have to have some of this information available, so, obviously do some preparation before you meet with your client. You can have a folder on your desktop with some of the pictures you'd like to share with that individual, and then you can share your screen and just have a communication and a follow-up that way. Again, you'd select the date, the time, how long you want it to be, focus on the time zone again, and then list the actual email addresses of the people that would be joining. So this is where I would put in linda.johnson@gmail.com, and it'll send her the link in order to connect with us and set it up. Now, you can use the standard Zoho conference that comes embedded in this system, or you could use your own conferencing service, which don't worry about it this time, but the other day when we set one up, we did that through Zoom. You can use plenty of other softwares if you prefer, but this one is the one that's integrated into our software that we have. Okay, so once you hit schedule, it'll go into your calendar. It'll have a hyperlink very similar to the one we had the other day, and you'll be able to have your conversation on a particular date and time that you've selected. Now, what I was describing earlier, this is scheduling a meeting, putting something out for tomorrow, next Thursday, or whatever. But let's say I'm talking to an individual and they said, can we do a screen sharing, and I can walk it through you right now. You can turn over from a phone call straight to a meet now. So what that will do is it will set up a similar type functionality, and then you can connect to your client immediately. So I can do a phone call right from here, or I can do using the audio right through my computer. So instead of you having a phone and the computer, you can just do it all through your computer if you feel more comfortable with that. So let's just do computer audio. As you can see, it's got a picture of me using my camera and the voice feed through my computer. If you don't want them to see you particularly, but you just want to share the information, you can just turn off the camera here, and then you're not being seen during the conversation. That's totally up to you. This is a great way to connect with your client directly. So you can put a name with a face. Many times we're talking to people and we never actually meet our customers because we sell them a vehicle. I live in Tennessee. I sell it to them in Kentucky. It gets delivered, and most of our conversations are on phone or email. This will give a good face-to-face connection and for you to be able to establish a different rapport with your client. I will tell you, please make sure that you don't have things in the background that you're not thinking of typically. Make sure your kids or your dogs are out of the room when you're doing it, just so you have a professional presentation when you're talking to a client. So when you're ready, you can just hit, I'm going to turn my camera off, and then I'll just hit start meeting. This is where you'll send your attendees email in. So this is where I would put Linda Johnson. So I would put linda.johnson@gmail. And then I can send, and that would invite her to this, or you can just use this share link and send it to them in an email. Once you're ready, you can start sharing, and that's when you'll be able to share your screen. You can show pictures and videos or anything you'd like. Down here is your microphone, so I can click that to mute. That allows me to mute. So like I said, if there's multiple people on the screen and you don't want to have back talk or over talk, then you can mute that until it's time for you to speak. Again, I can uncheck my camera in order to put my camera on or turn my camera off. I can record over here, so if I want to record the conversation, I think the best thing to do is actually record all of your information that you're doing whenever you have calls. As long as the other client on the other end doesn't have any issues with it, it's helpful. It's just a great way to CYA and make sure that if someone says, you guaranteed me you could have this, or this on this date, you can always reference it and say, no, it was never mentioned in our conversation. Hopefully you never have to do that, but it's a great way to go back and reference this stuff later if you need to. Up here you can do a chat, which, again, this is really designed for having multiple people in there. So let's say Mindy and I are presenting to one client. I'm doing most of the talking at the time, and Mindy wants to tell me something to present to them. Then she can text me directly without interrupting the actual presentation. So she can say, hey, don't forget to mention this, or don't forget to say that. And it's not talking over one another throughout the conversation. This, again, will let you see all the attendees that are in this particular conference. And then I can share the presenter functionality to someone else. So let's say I'm showing some particular components on the screen, and then Mindy wants to take over and show something from her computer. I can make her the presenter, or I can make the client the presenter if they would like to show some different pictures or different information. So everybody's pretty familiar with how web conferencing works, but this is giving everybody the ability to do this with each and every customer. Now it's not just a monthly meeting that we all do, and Mindy or I or Matt are the only ones presenting. This gives everybody the opportunity for Denny to just pick up the phone and call, or do a presentation back and forth between Denny and Mike, or Adam wants to work on stuff with John Denson, or you guys just want to deal with this directly with your clients locally. So anyway, that's how the system works. Let's exit out of here. I can end that meeting. And then I can go right back into my schedule here where you can see. So that was Meet Now. Again, I showed you how you can actually schedule one in the future. You would schedule, it would show up in your Outlook calendar and be synced to it, or you can set up a more comprehensive webinar. And this is how you access all that information. So if you have any questions, again, let me know. I'm going to continue to work on this portion next on my phone, which you could do if you're traveling and you want to set up something on the fly and you don't have your laptop in front of you. You could do something very simple like a FaceTime you would on your cell phone with a client, but it's being recorded and it's official through ZOHO Meeting. I'll also show you how to do the Expensify portion next on the cell phone. Those are the two things I didn't finish yesterday. Thank you. Have a great day.